Welcome, and whatever you do, don't look behind you while you listen to this. Because tonight's story I send to you about monsters hiding in the woods or shadows lurking under your bed. It's about something far more ordinary, something you use every single day, a bathroom light, a mirror. And the thing that waits for you on the other side? Emily Price wasn't the type to scare easily. 26 years old, living alone in a small rental house outside Portland, she knew the difference between superstition and reality. She was a night shift nurse, used to real fear, failing heart monitors, elderly patients gasping for breath, families crying in waiting rooms. Compared to that, a creaky house meant nothing. But the mirror in her bathroom, that was different. It started one Tuesday morning, right before sunrise. Emily had worked a long shift, got home exhausted, and stepped into her bathroom to brush her teeth. As she flipped the light switch, the bulbs flickered for a moment, nothing unusual. The house was old. The wiring was older. But in that one flicker of dim yellow light, she saw it. A tall shadow standing behind her. She froze, toothbrush halfway in her mouth. The shadow wasn't shaped like a coat rack or a towel. It was human. Very human. Broad shoulders, a long narrow head. Too tall to be anyone she knew. Her heart slammed against her ribs, and she whipped around so fast she nearly slipped on the tiles. Nothing. Just an empty hallway. She took a shaky breath, laughed under her breath, and turned back to the mirror. She blamed exhaustion. Night shift hallucinations. The human brain was tricky when it was tired. But the next night, it happened again. This time the shadow was closer. Emily didn't tell anyone. What was she supposed to say? Hey, every time I turn on my bathroom light, I see a tall shadow man standing behind me in the mirror. People already thought night shift nurses were half crazy. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that something in the house had changed. The hallway felt colder. The floorboards seemed to groan more than usual. She started sleeping with her bedroom door shut, which she never did before. 3 days later, she noticed the light switch itself. Each time she entered the bathroom, the switch was already halfway flipped up, even when she distinctly remembered turning it off. She tightened the screws, thinking maybe it was loose. But the next night, the switch was lifted again. She stopped finding logical explanations. She stopped trying. Emily had a rule with herself: if something feels wrong, trust it. In nursing, that instinct saved lives. At home, that instinct made her leave the bathroom light on for 2 nights straight and use the kitchen sink to wash her face. But on Saturday night, everything escalated. Emily had just returned from work, exhausted, smelling like disinfectant and latex gloves. The house was quiet, still and dark. She tossed her bag onto the couch, kicked off her shoes, and walked toward the bathroom, not because she wanted to, but because she was tired of being scared of her own house. "This is ridiculous," she whispered to herself. "You're an adult, you're fine." She placed her hand on the switch. Her fingers trembled. "Just turn it on," she muttered. She pushed the switch up. The light didn't flicker this time. It glowed steady and bright, illuminating the entire bathroom. She let out a breath of relief. The mirror reflected her tired face. And nothing else. No shadow, no figure. No weird movement behind her. "See, you're fine," she whispered. Then the light flickered once, just once, and the tall shadow appeared again. But not behind her, not in the hallway, not distant. It was standing directly in front of her, reflection towering over her, its head nearly touching the ceiling. But she didn't see it in the room, only in the glass, only in the mirror. Emily's breath stuck in her throat. The figure slowly leaned down, its faceless head lowering toward her, as if studying her. Emily's body refused to move. Every survival instinct she had was screaming, but she was frozen, locked, glued to the floor. The shadow raised a long, thin hand. Her real bathroom remained empty, but in the mirror, the hand touched the glass. and dragged down it, leaving a streak of black that pulsed like liquid. Emily stumbled backward with a small cry, slamming into the doorframe. Then the light snapped off, not flickered, not dimmed. It clicked off like someone had flipped the switch. Someone who wasn't her. The darkness swallowed her, thick and choking, and before she could reach for the hallway light, she heard breathing, not her own, and not behind her. It was coming from inside the bathroom, right in front of her. And then something whispered, almost touching her cheek, "Don't turn around." Emily didn't breathe for almost 5 seconds. She couldn't. The darkness around her felt thick, like it had weight, like it was pressing against her skin. The whisper was still hot on her cheek, as if something had leaned in close enough to fog the air between them. Her brain screamed at her to run, but her body refused to move. She didn't turn around. She didn't dare. Her hand slid along the wall, shaking violently as she reached for the hallway light switch. Her fingers brushed the cold plastic, then something touched her wrist. Not a bug, not a breeze, a hand, then cold, too long. Emily yanked her arm back with a gasp and stumbled into the hallway, slapping the switch so hard the plastic cover cracked. The light burst on, flooding the hallway with safe, warm brightness. The bathroom was empty, silent, still. Her heart hammered against her ribs so hard her vision pulsed. Okay, just breathe," she whispered, gripping the wall to keep her legs from giving out. "There's no one here. There's nothing here." But she didn't believe a single word. The bathroom light was off, and for the first time she realized something strange. The switch was still in the on position. The light had shut off by itself. Emily backed away slowly, refusing to look into the mirror again. She grabbed her phone and stumbled toward the kitchen, where the light above the sink was always bright, always steady, and the window gave her at least some connection to the outside world. She wanted to call someone, her sister, her landlord, literally anyone, but what could she possibly say? A shadow man in my bathroom mirror touched me. She could already hear the silence on the other end. Instead, she opened the refrigerator, leaned her forehead against the cool interior, and tried not to hyperventilate. She stayed like that for a full minute before she forced herself to move. Something was happening in that bathroom. Something wrong, something she couldn't explain. And she needed answers. Against every instinct she had, she went back to the hallway and stood just outside the bathroom door. The switch was still up. The light refused to turn on. Her hand shook as she pushed the switch down, then up again. Nothing. She flipped it again. Still nothing. Emily felt her stomach sink. The light had worked fine just seconds before. She stepped inside the doorway, not touching the floor tiles, almost like they'd burn her. The air felt colder here. Not like a draft, more like opening a freezer. She reached up toward the light bulb. It wasn't hot. It wasn't even warm. It felt like ice. Bulbs didn't do that. Bulbs didn't turn cold instantly. No, I'm not doing this tonight," she whispered under her breath. She grabbed her bag, locked the bathroom door for no logical reason, and practically ran to her bedroom. She changed clothes without turning off the lights and sat on her bed hugging her knees, and that's when her phone buzzed. A notification appeared on her screen. Bathroom light on gives off. Emily's heart dropped. She had installed smart switches 2 months ago for convenience. They sent alerts when lights turned on or off, even when she didn't do it. She stared at the notification, frozen. Bathroom light, on gives OFF bathroom light. On gives OFF bathroom light. On gives off. It was flipping back and forth fast. Then it stopped. A moment later, a new alert popped up. Camera detected. Motion in bathroom. Emily's blood ran cold. She never installed a camera in the bathroom. She wasn't stupid. She had cameras in the living room and at the front door, but absolutely not in there. "This has to be wrong," she whispered, standing on shaky legs. She opened the app anyway. The screen loaded. Then it showed something grainy, glitching blacks and grays, like static shaping itself into images. The camera wasn't showing the bathroom clearly, but it was showing something moving inside. Tall, thin, human-shaped, but not human. The figure's head turned, slowly, unnaturally, like it was locating the camera, like it knew she was watching. Then it lowered itself until its face, if it had one, filled the screen completely. Just darkness, with two deeper shadows where eyes should have been. Emily felt like those empty eyes could see her. The screen flickered, glitched, brightened, and for half a second a single, horrifying frame, she saw her own reflection in the bathroom mirror behind the figure. She was smiling. Emily threw the phone across the room. No, this isn't happening, she whispered, clutching her hair. Tears filled her eyes. Her body shook so violently her teeth clacked. She backed up until her shoulders hit the bedroom wall. The house was silent now, but a silence that felt alive, like the walls were listening. Then came the knock. One soft, deliberate tap on the bathroom door. Emily covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Another tap. Then another, slow, rhythmic, patient. And then she heard the same voice from the dark whisper through the hallway, low and close and unmistakably real. Emily, come back. I need you to look at me again. Emily didn't move. She pressed her back so hard against the bedroom wall, it felt like she was trying to disappear inside it. Her pulse pounded in her ears, loud enough to drown out her own breathing. She waited for another knock, another whisper, another sign that the thing behind the bathroom door was getting closer. But the house went quiet again. Not peaceful quiet, dead quiet, like everything was holding its breath. Emily's phone lay on the carpet across the room. The cracked screen glowed faintly, but she didn't dare crawl toward it. She didn't want to look at the bathroom notification again. She didn't want to see that thing. Instead, she focused on the hallway, on the space between her bedroom door and that locked bathroom door, on the shadows moving in the corners, but only when she wasn't looking directly at them. She stayed frozen for what felt like an hour, but was probably less than a minute. Then her bedroom light flickered, just once, just enough to make her flinch. Stop, she whispered to the empty room. Just stop. But the flickering continued, soft, slow pulses like the light was breathing. The shadows on the walls stretched and shrank with each dim flash. Emily couldn't stand it anymore. She grabbed a hoodie, shoved her feet into her shoes without tying them, and bolted for the front door. She didn't check the peephole. She didn't grab her keys. She just yanked the door open and stepped into the cold night air. Relief hit her like a wave. The street was quiet, normal. Yellow porch lights on neighboring houses glowed steadily. A dog barked somewhere down the block. A car passed in the distance. The world felt real again, solid, something she could trust. Emily walked down her driveway, hugging herself against the cold Oregon wind. She wondered if she should call the police. But how would that conversation go? Hi, I think a shadow in my mirror tried to kill me. She almost laughed at the thought. Instead, she walked to the end of the street. The farther she got from the house, the less she felt watched, the less the shadows seemed alive. She sat on the curb under the glow of a street lamp and let herself breathe for the first time in hours. Minutes passed. Maybe 10, maybe 30. Then her phone chimed. She startled but forced herself to retrieve it from her hoodie pocket. The screen lit up with a message. From unknown 1:14 a.m., you forgot to lock the front door. Emily's hands went numb. Her front door, the one she'd just run through, wide open, behind her. She turned slowly, heart slamming, breath stuck in her throat. Her house sat at the end of the street, dark windows staring back at her like eyes. Her front door was still wide open, visible even from here. And something was standing inside the doorway, tall, still, looking straight down the street at her. Emily's skin turned to ice. She couldn't move, couldn't blink. That silhouette, it wasn't human. It was too long in the arms, too narrow in the shoulders. Its head seemed wrong-crooked, tilted as if it was studying her from a distance. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown. It's rude to leave in the middle of our conversation. Emily jumped to her feet and ran not toward the house, but away from it. She sprinted toward the only place in the neighborhood with lights still on, a 24-hour gas station 2 blocks away. Her lungs burned by the time she burst through the glass doors. The employee behind the counter, a young guy with headphones around his neck, looked up and froze when he saw her panic. "You okay?" he asked. "No," she gasped. "Someone is in my house. Please, I need to use your phone. Mine's acting weird. Please." He didn't ask questions. He handed her the store phone, and Emily dialed 911 with shaking fingers. "What's your emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "There's someone inside my home," she said. I ran out. "I'm at the Shell station on Pine and 42nd. Please send someone. We have officers in the area. Stay where you are. Do not return home until they arrive." She hung up and sagged against the counter, shaking uncontrollably. The employee offered her a bottle of water and a seat, and she took both, collapsing onto a small plastic chair near the window. Minutes crept by. Then the station door opened, not with the jingle of the bell, but slowly, silently, as if pushed by someone who didn't want to be noticed. Emily's breath hitched. A man walked in wearing a dark green hoodie. He kept his head down. His stride was slow, deliberate, too deliberate. He didn't look at the aisles, didn't look at the shelves, just walked straight toward her. Her throat tightened. The employee noticed. "Hey, ma'am, we're closed for inventory. You need to." The hooded man lifted his head. Emily's stomach dropped. His face was wrong. Not monstrous, but wrong. Too pale. Eyes too dark. Almost like someone had drawn a face on a blank surface. He looked directly at her and smiled. "You left the light on," he whispered. Emily stumbled backward, knocking over the chair. She didn't think she ran. Out the back exit, into the cold night air. Her feet pounded the pavement as she sprinted down the alley, lungs screaming, vision shaking. Behind her, she heard the gas station employee yelling, and then a scream. A real one. A human one. Cut short. Emily didn't look back. She ran into the darkness, the whisper following her, closer than it should have been, closer than any footsteps she could hear. "Emily, you saw me once? Now you'll see me everywhere." Emily didn't scream. She couldn't. Her lungs felt frozen, her ribs cinched tight as if wrapped by a cold metal band. The thing crawling out of the mirror, her reflection, but not her, stood only a few inches away, tilting its head like it was testing how her body worked. It smiled with Emily's mouth, but the smile dragged too wide, as if the skin had forgotten its limits. The hallway light flickered. Once, twice. On the third flicker, the creature stepped fully into the hallway, and the mirror behind it went dead black, swallowing every trace of light like an open pit. Emily stumbled backward until her spine hit the wall. "Please," she whispered, unsure if she was begging it or herself. The creature didn't blink. Instead, it leaned forward and pressed its ear toward her chest, as if listening to her heartbeat. Then it straightened again, lips trembling with a twitchy curiosity. "You don't belong here," Emily whispered, clutching the doorknob behind her, fingers shaking so violently she could barely grip the metal. The double blinked once, slowly. Then it raised its hand. Emily jerked in terror because her own hand lifted with it, exactly the same, like her joints were being puppeted. She fought it, digging her nails into her palm, twisting her wrist down, but the creature's arm kept rising higher until it pointed toward the bathroom, at the mirror. "No," Emily gasped. "No, please stop." The creature's lips barely moved, but she heard a voice, like her own voice echoing from inside a tunnel. "Come home," Emily bolted. She ran for the front door, bare feet slapping the hardwood, heart ramming against her ribs so violently she thought she might faint. She yanked the door open. The hallway outside her apartment was completely dark, as if every bulb had been sucked dry. Not dim, not flickering, pitch black. She shut the door, hard. The creature stood 5 feet away now, closer than it should have been. Emily's breath hitched. She scanned frantically around her apartment. Nothing was normal anymore. The lamps were dimming. The air felt thick, like she was breathing in dust. And the creature her not reflection kept inching forward with slow, half-curious, half-hungry movements. Emily backed toward the kitchen. The second her hand touched the counter, the creature jerked its head sharply, like a predator catching sound. Snapping, twitching movements. Emily grabbed a knife, but the moment she lifted it, the lights flickered violently and the blade flew out of her hand, clattering across the floor. Her reflection didn't like that. It lunged. Emily screamed and fell backward, hitting the lower cabinets painfully. The creature grabbed her by the ankle, its grip cold, its fingers too long, pressing deep enough she felt them scraping bone. She kicked wildly, adrenaline tearing through her. Her heels slammed into its jaw, something cracked, and it loosened for one precious second. Emily crawled across the floor, dragging herself toward the living room. She didn't have a plan. She just needed space, air, time, anything. She shoved herself behind the couch, pressing her back to the wall, trying to silence her breathing. The apartment fell silent. No footsteps, no breathing, no scraping, just silence. Emily squeezed her eyes shut. Maybe it went back. Maybe the mirror pulled it away. Maybe a cold, wet exhale brushed her ear. Emily's whole body locked. Slowly terrified, she turned her head inch by inch. The creature's face was right next to hers, half its skull protruding where she'd kicked it, its jaw hanging sideways but smiling anyway. It whispered, "Found you." Emily exploded into motion. She shoved with all her strength, sending the creature slamming into the coffee table. She sprinted for the bathroom. It was stupid. She knew it was stupid. But every other door was wrong, every shadow moving, every light dead. She ran toward the one place she'd feared the most. The bathroom. The mirror was glowing faintly now, swirling with a foggy, silver light like a storm trapped in glass. The air hummed, the tiles buzzed beneath her feet. Emily grabbed the doorknob, ready to slam the door shut. The creature grabbed her from behind and dragged her backward, nails digging into her shoulders, pulling her toward the dark hallway beyond. Emily screamed, clawing at the tiles, kicking her legs, twisting her body with every ounce of strength she had. The thing was stronger, colder, relentless. Her hand slapped the bathroom cabinet hard enough to knock it open. Something fell out, her phone. Dim, cracked from earlier, but still showing her reflection. Purely instinct, she grabbed it and held it up toward the creature. The creature froze. It stared at the screen, at itself. And for the first time since she'd seen it, it recoiled. Emily screamed and shoved the phone closer, forcing the creature toward the bathroom. Toward the mirror, toward the glowing, swirling silver storm. "You want a reflection?" she shouted, voice breaking. "Take it." The creature's limbs spasmed violently. Its movements became frantic, desperate. It clawed at the floor to get away, but Emily pushed harder, screaming, crying, shoving it toward that mirror with every broken breath. The surface of the mirror rippled, and then it grabbed the creature's arm. The mirror itself grabbed it. Emily stumbled backward in shock. The creature shrieked high, sharp, monstrous as the mirror pulled it in, dragging every limb, twisting its body until the last thing left was its face, staring at her with her own eyes. "Come home," it whispered one last time. Then it was gone. The mirror went dark. Emily collapsed onto the floor, shaking in pain, fear, disbelief. She stared at the empty bathroom doorway for what felt like hours, waiting for a hand to appear, for a face, for anything. Nothing came. She finally forced herself to stand. Her legs trembled beneath her. She couldn't stay here, not another second. She grabbed her keys, her coat, her bag, anything she could reach, and fled the apartment. She didn't stop running until she reached her car. She didn't stop shaking even after she reached the highway, and she hasn't gone back, not once. But sometimes, late at night, when she turns on her rearview mirror, she swears she sees a faint outline sitting in the back seat, too tall, too still, smiling just a little too wide. And every time she blinks, it gets closer